dear colleagues, dear ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of the government of the Republic of Uzbekistan, I'm sincerely glad to welcome you all at today's virtual roundtable meeting. I would like to extend my sincere gratitude to the German Eastern Business Association for high-level organization of today's event. Personally, I thank my dearest friend, Professor Klaus Mangold, for the initiative to bring us all together around the virtual table to discuss cooperation perspectives. I remember with great warmth our last meeting in this format almost a year ago. It was on 8th April last year. Unfortunately, the COVID-19 situation is still hindering personal meetings. At the same time, it is gratifying to note that despite bringing devastating consequences on a global scale, the pandemic failed to disrupt the development of the Uzbek-German cooperation. To start with some facts and figures, the influx of German capital and investments into our economy last year hit well over $700 million, recording a 25% increase as compared to the previous year. German companies have been actively investing in projects in our country, particularly in textiles, production of construction materials, agriculture, chemical and petrochemical sectors, healthcare, as well as information technologies. Today, a number of companies operating with the participation of German capital in Uzbekistan has reached almost 200 entities, and the number is continuing to grow on an annual basis. The opening of a branch of the German Development Bank KfW in Tashkent in December last year, representative offices of the German economy in Uzbekistan, as well as the German Association of Small and Medium-Sized Enterprises in Tashkent, stand as clear demonstration of the rising interest of German companies in Uzbekistan. During this year, we are planning to implement 24 large projects worth over $1 billion with our German partners in a number of sectors like automotive, chemical, pharmaceutical, electrotechnical industries, in addition to production of construction materials. I'm sure that you are aware of major economic reforms taking place in our country, of the moves that our government is making towards liberalization of the economy, creation of maximum favorable conditions for doing business, and integration of free market principles. So I will only briefly highlight some of the most important changes that took place in Uzbekistan since our last meeting with you. First, ongoing irreversible reforms, as well as effective and timely measures to counteract the consequences of the pandemic, made Uzbekistan the only country among 24 countries in the Eastern Europe and Central Asia to have retained positive growth indicators in 2020. Second, uninterrupted operation of industries and economic sectors, as well as active foreign economic activity stimulated by Uzbekistan's newly adopted economic recovery program, are expected to result in at least 4.8% economic growth for Uzbekistan, positioning the country at the top of all CIS countries in terms of growth indicators in 2021. Third, we adopted a new presidential decree on measures to radically improve licensing and licensing procedures, which envisages elimination of 70 out of 200 types of licenses, as well as 35 out of 140 permits, starting from January 1st this year. Fourth, thanks to liberalized currency regime, business is greatly benefiting from current cross-border and capital movement transactions, Problems that previously held investors back have turned to a thing of the past. Fifth, a newly adopted law on investments and investment activities is serving as an effective mechanism to ensure the rights and legitimate interests of the business in our country. The Foreign Investors Council, under the President of the Republic of Uzbekistan, is working to develop direct dialogue between the government and the business to create the most favorable conditions for foreign investors. Sixth, a new tax code, which was adopted last year, is continuing to facilitate business activities in our country through reduction in tax rates as well as simplifications for reporting requirements. Seventh, strategy for reforming the banking sector of Uzbekistan in 2020 to 2025 was approved in May last year to carry out radical transformation of the banking sector, to stimulate the development of private sector, increase the investment attractiveness of the banks, and improve the quality of banking services. Actually, I could talk for hours and hours about reforms and changes in our country. In general, I assure you that Uzbekistan remains firmly committed to continuing reforms that promote transparency, openness, and sustainable development. Dear colleagues, let me touch upon the areas where we see great prospects for combining our comparative advantages. First, geographical location makes our country a favorable destination for sourcing textile products, and my dear friend Klaus already mentioned about that. Uzbekistan is the world's 6th largest producer of cotton, and we are now exporting value-added textile garments that could be of great benefit to German buyers. We are investing in new technology to improve the quality of products and their compliance with international standards. Our labor force is virtually free of systemic forced labor, as it was confirmed by the International Labour Organization in its recent reports from 2019 and 2020. Second, our new economic development model calls for digitalization of the sectors of Uzbek economy, and thus positions information communication technologies as a driver for economic development. In October last year, we adopted a special strategy which is called Digital Uzbekistan 2030, which envisages expansion of the population's access to the internet, introduction of more than 400 innovative information systems, electronic services, and other software products, implementation of educational and training programs to improve the digital literacy and skills of population. We look forward to the active participation of respective German companies in economic digitalization processes in Uzbekistan. Third, the energy sector represents great cooperation prospects. While Germany is one of the world leaders in energy-saving technologies and the use of renewable energy sources, Uzbekistan is working to implement a large-scale program to improve the energy efficiency of industrial enterprises, social infrastructure, and residential buildings. German technology and know-how in the field of energy conservation and energy efficiency represent a great interest for all of us here in Uzbekistan. Fourth, Uzbekistan's privatization program opens new opportunities for German business. We are now preparing over 1,500 state-owned companies, including 186 highly liquid assets for sale to foreign investors. We are also engaging German financial institutions in acquisition of state-owned commercial banks of Uzbekistan, which are showing exceptional performance indicators. Other areas that present great potential for fostering cooperation include chemicals, pharmaceuticals, and construction materials. Heads of sectoral departments and agencies today will present you project proposals we have prepared for joint implementation with German partners in those sectors of economy. Dear ladies and gentlemen, the global events taking place in the world do not allow us to calmly wait out the acute phase. On the contrary, they require a much more active cooperation and joint efforts to find new ways for development of our collaboration. This year must be a year for acceleration of the Uzbek-German cooperation. We need to unify our efforts to find new points of growth and fill bilateral partnership with new breakthrough projects and initiatives. Please be assured that I and the whole team of Uzbek government stands ready to work 24/7 to ensure the success of your business activities in the market of Uzbekistan. As the end of the pandemic comes into view and we are stepping into the new era, which is post-COVID era, we invite you to take advantage of a market that has experienced a positive growth rate throughout last year, as I told you earlier, and is projected to grow at a healthy almost 5% this year. Thank you very much for your attention.